Alright guys, here's the rundown on my plan for 2023 in regards to growing on social media and building a following. Hopefully you guys can take whatever you want from it, and if you're also looking to grow your account or anything on social media, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation. So to start off with, I believe that it's very vital to have a clear goal in mind. So you need to know exactly what you want to achieve at a certain deadline. So for me personally, I think 6 months, 3 months or a year, they're all pretty good. Right now I'm targeting a 3-month and a 6-month plan. I also have other things that I want to target for the whole year, like what I want to meet by the end of the year. But personally, working that far ahead and trying to keep to the same goals within a year is quite unrealistic, because personally I think that people's goals change within a year. So right now these are my 3-month and 6-month goals. So within 3 months I believe that I'm just going to be kind of still testing on social media, still growing the audience, and by 6 months I want to be pretty much at about 40,000, maybe 30,000, 40,000 followers on Instagram. So basically I'm just going to run through my ideas, my strategies that I've kind of learned along the way from my jobs, my previous positions and positions I'm in now, and what I've learned from helping other brands. So let's get into it. So I need to have a clear strategy in place to exponentially grow me to that point. And hopefully when you get to that point, the next 6 months should be fairly easy. Everyone says that the first 1,000 followers you get are always going to be the hardest, and it kind of grows from there. I'm sure you're aware by now, I've said it a few times, that batch content is pretty much the way that I think everyone should go. And a lot of the social media influencers already use this technique. You just don't realize it, because not a lot of people in this whole industry says to batch content. But personally, I think you've got to get a mix of two things. Usually you'll find that it's always a mix of two things. And what that means is you want to have content that you've batched at the start of each month, and also content that you're kind of more free with, that you can create as you go along. And what this does is it gives you kind of like a lifeline, a backup. So if you do miss a day, you always have content that you can post out. You're still consistent, and also it just gives you content that you can just really test the waters and see how well it does. So what I try and do is I create 30 videos per month roughly, because most months have about 30 days, and that will be good for me for a whole month. 1 post a day. I'm just telling you how I do it. If you want to post 2 times a day, just times by 2, create 60 batch content, or you can create 30 batch content and 30 on the go. So one thing I've done as well is I've created 30 batch content, and then at the end or start of each week I'll create, maybe 3 or 4 different videos that I'll then post whenever I feel like it within the next week. So I have tried 2 posts a day, I've tried 1 post a day, and I've kind of evolved it to suit my needs and what the audience finds most engaging and how many achieve the best results. But we'll go into that in a bit. So now you understand that you need to batch your content. Let's talk about the ways in which you batch your content. So I've tried 30 videos sitting here, just shooting them and just getting them out of the way and then editing them in the same environment. Personally, I think you can do that if it's the only environment you have that's professional, and that's another thing we'll go into it as well. But you want to always have a professional environment, because at the end of the day, it's kind of a not fake it till you make it industry, but you want to show people the idea that you're very professional, you know what you're talking about, and most of the time when you're going into this kind of realm, you do know what you're talking about. So just make sure your lighting is good. I've literally got, how many? Usually I have about 4 lightings, but one of them is charging right now, so I only have 3. I have kind of like, basically the key is you want to have some interesting lighting, so the background's quite interesting. There's a few colours going on, but at the same time, and they're complementary colours, so kind of a nice blue with a nice pink, or it could be a blue with an orange. There's complementary colours that you want to go into, and you want to make sure that your kind of whole face is lit up. You don't really want to have a lot of shadows, and I'm kind of increasing my lighting techniques and my lighting catalogue, I guess, or like the amount of lights I have in different types. So I'm still practicing as how I get my lighting the best, but personally, just if you're new to this, just make sure you have a light in this side. So I have my pink light here. You have a light in directly, so I have a light just above here, and then you have another light. So 1, 2, 3. So center, left and right. And then make sure they're different colors, make it a bit interesting. So anyway, what I found is the best way to do batch content is to batch content but in a few different locations, and it can be in the same location, but you can do it in different angles. So if you've seen my videos I've posted on Instagram and TikTok, I might record videos from this direction or this direction, and mess around with the lighting, mess around with the type of video. So some I might do in black and white, some I might do with 2 different colors. So it might be orange and blue on one, and then it might be yellow and purple on one, testing out loads of different things. Because at the end of the day, one thing that will basically make or break your whole entire career, if you want to go into this, is how much you test and how much you want to evolve and adapt. So adaptability is one of the keys to success. You want to be adaptable to survive, survival of the fittest. Like anything, like in history, the fittest survive. So, you know, they adapt to basically win. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're testing every single week, every single month. Now, with your first batch of content, so if you're just doing your first batch for the month, and this is the first month you've ever created content, don't worry too much. All I'd say is make sure that you've got a nice camera, and it only has to be a phone. I shoot on a Sony A7 III. It's a good camera. I've been using it for years. I really like it. Don't worry about the lenses. Just just use a general prime lens, something like that. But if you're on a budget, I would literally just use a normal camera. Make sure you got maybe a decent phone. I wouldn't use like an iPhone 5 or an iPhone 6. Try and use like more of a higher up iPhone. And again, if you got even any sort of job, you can afford to invest into a nice phone, because these phones now have great cameras. You really don't need a camera. That's just for that extra. And also I use this camera for different things. I don't actually use this. I mean, I use it for this, but I don't actually use it for this. I use a camera for photography and for my job. So just get yourself a nice phone. And also I'd say really think about lighting, and just light your face up. As long as you're lighting your face up, you're in the center of the video, and you've got a decent camera, then you're all good. And you don't actually need a microphone. If your phone's got bad mics, you can literally go on the voice notes and hold it there and use it as a microphone. That's what I'm using now. To be honest, the iPhone microphone quality is really good. So like I said, as long as you have a good quality camera, you've got lights that are lighting up the room, and you've got a good microphone, you should be good. And look at other professional people and think about how they shoot their content, and just try and replicate it. Because one thing with content creation is you need to understand the difference between bad videos and good videos. And there's a lot of people out there that I think their videos are good, and so they don't really improve it, or they're stuck in this illusion that they think they're good, but it's actually not. Just make sure, like I said, that you're always constantly evolving your stuff. And like I said, test out different lighting, test out different positions where you shoot, test out so many things. If this is your first batch of content for the month and you've just started, don't worry. Just post it, create a batch of content, and just see what happens. Because at the end of the day, you can't test what's not there, if that makes sense. If you haven't got any videos out there already, you can't test anything, because you haven't got anything to analyze and see what works well. So create your first 30, it's like throwing mud at a wall. Just see what sticks, what does a little better, what does worse, things like that. And what you'll find is you'll probably find a few that either double in engagement. Even if most of them only get 100 views and one gets 200 views, that one has done the best. So look into the winners and decide the common denominators in each video. So if you have 5 winners that have double engagement, or times 1.5 engagement to all the others, think about, okay, do they all have the same lighting? Are they all recorded in the day? Are they all recorded in the night? What's the music like? Is it slow music? Is it fast music? Think about your hairstyle. So all these little things I've picked up from being a creative marketing manager and doing a few other roles, in which I've learned that even the smallest details can change how successful a video or piece of content is. What you find is when you create an ad for social media, Facebook, Instagram, if you have 2 different variations that you're testing, and one has yellow subtitles and one has purple subtitles, that can do a lot of difference to which is more successful. It's just human psychology. Certain things stick out to certain people, so you've got to keep testing. Once you've found out the 3 to 5, I think 3 to 5 is a good number. I think if you go any more than that, it becomes overwhelming every month. So if you have 7 things that you're like, oh, these are all probably the common things in these videos, there's 7 things I want to update, that's probably a bit too much. I think 3 to 5 different things that you think, okay, if I just add these in all my videos, it's going to do better. So let's say, for instance, all these videos were shot at nighttime, and they have slow-paced music, and your hairstyle is completely down, let's just say. Then you know that you write down in your book, okay, well, I need to make sure that the lighting is purple and blue, because this is the successful lighting. I want to shoot in the night, because that's the successful time, and I want my hairstyle should be completely down, because that's the hairstyle that seems to be working for me. Now, once you've got those, you want to create the next lot of batch content. So just make sure that you include all those different things that you found common in the winning content, and then start all over again. Create that content and see what sticks. Now, there's so many things that you can look into. Personally, I think the first 1 or 2 months, I would create content that's very diverse. So some of your content, try open with a question, some open with a statement, some open, talk faster, some talk slower, some smile, some don't smile. Create music that's fast, energetic, slow, black and white videos, colourful videos, different lighting, day or night, loads of different things I would test. Because if you just create a batch of 30 content the first 1 or 2 months, and it's all the same thing, it's very hard to find the common factors in the winning pieces of video. So just make sure that the first 1 or 2 months, I'll probably recommend 2 months of doing this, because then you have 60 videos to test. Just really be diverse in what you create, and then you'll be able to really find the winning factors. So now we understand that we need to batch our content, we need to have different scenes in the content, try out different things, and we also understand that we need to test and adapt and evolve month by month on what the winning videos are. Now we need to quickly understand the key motivation for people to be engaged and for your content to go viral. So you just need to understand this simple word, attention. You just need to grab people's attention. If you grab someone's attention, good or bad, they're going to have their eyes on you, and then they might like your video, they might follow you. You just need to grab their attention. This world, this society, this globe that we're living in right now is completely focusing on attention. Whoever has the most attention is making the most money, is having the most eyes on them, obviously, and having the most influence. If you can grab attention in some way, and like I said, this is from testing the water, adapting, seeing what sticks, seeing what grabs more people's attention, because the higher the engagement, then that's a more attention grabbing video. That's all you have to do. The idea is just, okay, what videos grab the most attention and how can I increase that attention? So my plan right now is I want to keep doubling the attention on my social media. So right now I'm probably averaging about 5,000 to 10,000 views per video. By February, I want to be averaging around 20 to 30,000. And then by March, I want to be averaging maybe 40, 50,000, something like that. So now you understand the key requirement for your videos is how much attention can they grab, and just keep trying to increase that. Now let's talk about consistency. You need to be very disciplined in this regards. If you create 30 videos 1 month, batch content, and even if you post 1 a day, you can be completely fine. But if you fall off that bandwagon and you post 30 for 1 month, and then you post 15 for the next, and then 20 the next, and then 5 the month after, and then it slowly goes down, you're not going to achieve success. Success is a very consistent kind of game, and you need to be very disciplined in how consistent you are. Let's be real, I think everyone knows that if you're very consistent for a whole year and you create 30 times by 12, 360, if you create 360 pieces of content within a year, if you think you're not going to achieve growth, then I promise you it's not because you're not being consistent. It most definitely is because your content isn't valuable and you're not grabbing people's attention. That's it. It's literally just consistency and then value and attention. If you if you grab their attention and then your video is valuable and you're consistent, they're the 2 things you need. I promise you, if you do those 2 things, you're going to, within a year, you're going to be more successful than you realize. And that could be 30,000 followers, but still 30,000 followers, that's good influence, and you can keep growing that. And once you have even 30,000 followers, a lot of people within the industry and influencers definitely want to talk to you. You could start a podcast and you'd get a lot more people interested in you than someone with 100 followers. So like I said, you understand that consistency, value and attention, 2 different things. You want to be very consistent, and then you want to grab attention, and then your video needs to be valuable. Now you're probably thinking, okay, how many posts a day should I be posting? Personally, I've tried 2 posts a day and I've tried 1 post a day, and I was considering trying 3 posts a day. Personally, I don't think you need the hassle of 3 times a day, because 2 things, I think that's just way too much content for someone to focus directly on. I like working on a few different projects, so 3 times a day, that's 90 pieces of content I'd have to create a month. And I'm pretty much already doing that, but for different things, so I can't increase that. If you wanted to try it, but I will say this, if you're creating 3 videos a day, your followers are probably going to get pretty annoyed to seeing your face everywhere. You know, personally, I think the number one reason why people unfollow people is because they just see them too many times and they get sick of what they're saying. So I would say don't post any more than 2 times a day. Personally, I've been posting probably for the last 2 weeks with just 1 post a day. So I was posting 2 a day, now I'm just posting 1. And yeah, I'm getting more results from just 1 post a day. Before I was probably getting... Probably 1 of the 2 videos I posted would blow up a little, and then the other one would have 200 views, one would have 10,000 or 5,000. Now I'm just posting 1, and most of the times they're doing pretty well. So also, don't overwork yourself. If you're getting the same amount of results and you're doing twice as less work, then why wouldn't you do that? Because then you can dedicate your energy and time into something else. So I post once a day. Personally, I think try out once a day, try out 2 times a day, just test it and see what works for you. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything I want to talk about in regards to creating content that has the most potential to grow your account. Finally, want to touch on 3D content. So 3-dimensional content is something that I think I definitely need to improve on, and I'm looking to do that in 2023 now. And personally, I think it's what makes successful influencers different to the people that are trying and ultimately fail. 3-dimensional content is basically producing content where it's a bit more like a film, it's a bit more like a story. There's multiple characters, there's multiple kind of scenes, and there's multiple storylines. What I mean by that is, right now, even for me, on my channel, you're only going to see my face. Now, I've done something a bit more clever in regards to I've connected films with my face. So I've made it so it's almost like a fake 3-dimensional piece of content. I wouldn't recommend doing that because it just gets you into the habit of trying to rationalize certain things, and personally I'm coming away from it. What you need to do is you need to try and involve more people in your content, and if you can't do that right now, if you don't have a network, firstly I'd say network. You need to definitely, that's one of the most powerful tools that you can do to succeed. But if you don't have anyone right now, that's fine. I'm doing it right now, you can do it, and there's people out there that have got to 1 million followers and they've just had themselves on it. But if you want to really increase your value and increase your following and have more of a community, you should really include a storyline and more characters. And this could be your siblings, your brother, some of your mates, and create a podcast and then just record the podcast and use that as content, and then you've got a few faces. But yeah, I would just really look into 3-dimensional content, how you can just make all your pieces of content different, because even if you're talking about different things in your content, so one video might be about playing golf and then the next playing football, just an example. If it's still in the same room, like with the same lighting, talking about the same kind of like the same way you're talking, then people, even though they're interested in what you're saying, their mental visualization of what's going on, they've already seen it, so they get bored. Best way to do it is to mess around with the scenes, have a few scenes that work. So if you've tested out and you realize that, okay, this white desk has done really well and it gets a lot of engagement, so this is where I shoot my videos, try and find a few other places that work just as well. So you can, even though you've found a winning piece of content and a winning kind of structure for viral videos, try and find more, because some sceneries and templates, so for instance this, could on my channel in the future not be viral anymore, not be viral worthy. So if you've already found other sceneries that are viral as well, you're not going to be in a rut. But if I haven't, then I'm in this panic mode where I'm like, oh damn, I've got to try and find and test and grow my next scene, if that makes sense. So what I would say is try and film, like maybe try and film in a few locations with a few different people doing a few different topics, but that's more advanced. Personally, I think you've got a lot of content within this video. I think if you just follow most of what I said and you just try and test, you try and plan, you try and batch your content, try different scenes, just really test and adapt. Look for, like I said, obviously grabbing attention and value along with consistency. Don't annoy your followers, so don't post too much, and just start thinking about how you can be more 3-dimensional. You're going to do great, and I promise you within a year you're going to see growth. So I hope you learned something. I hope this was valuable to you, and it helps a lot if you subscribe to this channel, because I'm growing on Instagram but not too much on YouTube. So yeah, so that would mean a lot to me, and yeah, look forward to chatting in the next one. All right, speaking a bit.